face. I'll introduce first of all myself. I'm John Allen. I've been coaching here at Essex Catholic for a number of years. And on my left is Andy Buckley, and on his left, Matt Sousa. These two young fellows will be the individuals who will actually demonstrate the drills that we plan to put out the videotape here. To give a history on the development of these drills, they were first designed or devised back when I came to Essex Catholic in 1974. The purpose of them was to create sequences and sequential drills so that the boys and the team would learn to chain wrestle. And the first set of drills that these fellows will demonstrate will be the first of the drills will be demonstrated by Andy Buckley, and it's called our hip hoist drill. And hip hoisting is perhaps the most important move in wrestling because at the most crucial moment, if you have the ability to hip hoist, you will either gain control of your opponent or you will evade your opponent. So it's a very important drill to learn. And we do it at three levels. Andy will do it from a position where he's posted on his hands. Then he will do it from his elbows. Then he will do it from his back. And to finish or complete the drill, he will do what we call high leg over from a kneeling position facing the mat. Andy, if you will begin. And this is from the hands position. The hip hoist is 1 foot move, goes to his elbow. Again, just 1 foot moves under. Make sure he faces the mat. And now from his back, using his shoulder and head as posts, he does the hip hoist. He'll come to his knees here and do high leg over action. High leg over action in the opposite direction. And that's the completion of the drill.
Gotcha.
If he has to go back.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm on play record now.
So,
Ready.
second illustration of how important hip hoist moves can be in wrestling. We're going to have the bottom man, Matt Sousa, go for a switch, a rather poor switch, and the top man, Andy Buckley, will chop Matt, and as Matt feels himself falling, he's going to execute an elevator as a follow-up move to his switch attempt, and in the midst of that elevator move, he's going to execute the hip hoist action. If he does not do it sufficiently well, he would wind up on his back. So let's begin. Here's the switch starting. There's the elevator. Max sits up and does the hip hoist action to complete the elevator. If he had failed to bring that leg through sufficiently and have it posted as he now has, what we're going to do first is illustrate the actual switch movement, and then we will show our switch drill. Matt Sousa, the bottom man, will illustrate the different parts of the switch. The first thing we want to do is free our arm, and that can be done in several ways. But when we do it in drill, what we do is we turn our palm up and we thrust our hand across under our outside arm. That, if you will. Thrust his arm out there to free his arm. He is now going to reach for his handkerchief and swing his leg through, keep his hips a little bit up in the air. What we do is a rising switch. He's going to get his knee bent, foot in the air, block a step over as best he can. And now he's going to hip out, hip out, hip out in order to prevent a re-switch or make it most difficult. As he comes up to complete the switch, he'll bring his arm into the crotch area just in case there's a late step over developed as a counter move to the switch. And now to complete, come up into waist and arm position. Now that is the actual switch movement, and from here what we'll illustrate is the actual drill that we do, one of 2 switch drills that we do. Each boy is going to do 3 switches, and Matt will start on top on Andy's left on the first portion of the drill, and after each boy has done 3 switches, they'll start again with Matt aligned on the opposite side, so that each individual will have done a switch lefty and a switch righty. Actually, each will have done 3 switches with his left hand, 3 switches with his right hand. So as we begin and go in slow motion as we would if it were a practice session. Here's the actual switch done in slow-mo. Andy comes up to complete. Matt begins to switch. Matt is switching Andy, and this portion of the drill is switching right-handed. Drill continues until each boy has done 3 switches. As the second half of the very same drill, they will stop for a moment, fall forward into a space where there's a little more mat area, and they will begin to drill again with mat aligned this time to start on Andy's right. Begin. The idea is to look for form at the beginning of the season, to make sure that the actual execution is the way it's meant to be. And as the season goes on, the individual should get better and better at executing the drill switch action with a little more speed. So right now we're interested in finesse, not a very quick movement. Okay, now our second drill will involve a switch action, and what will happen is each boy will switch the other once, and then on the one boy's second attempt, as he begins his switch and starts to move out to the side a little bit, he will not move sufficiently far to prevent re-switch action. And as that re-switch action is completed, the man that is being re-switched will post his shoulder and come back to the cartwheel step over. Now, this drill has to be done 4 times so that each individual takes part in all the action that's involved in the drill. So if we move up a little bit into the thing here, all right, begin. Now, here's the first switch by Andy, and he will complete his switch. Second switch begun by Matt, and he will complete his switch. The third one will be started by Andy. It will not be sufficiently well executed. Matt does a counter move, and Andy comes back with a counter to that counter. Our next escape drill is what we call a far side roll drill. Now, the bottom man is going to execute a far side roll, gripping the top man's hand with his right hand, wrist, that is, with his right hand. And then after that one roll is completed, the top man at the outset will be in a position where he will be able to execute a roll. And he will be doing it gripping with his left hand. So each individual gets to do a roll, one to the right, and the other one will be doing one to his left. To complete the drill, what we have the boys do is start again, same man on top, but he's aligned on the opposite side so that the rolls are reversed. So that we'll begin. Good wrist grip, knee across, nice elevator, sit up and hip point, reverse Nelson in. In the drill, we permit the bottom man to bridge and rotate. We can go around his head and put weight on as we go. The other man executes the elevator off the far roll. Reverse it. And the drill can be continued as many rolls within that sequence as you care to have the individuals execute. To complete the drill, that same top man that was there before, still on top, just moves over to the other side, and the drill will begin so that each individual gets a roll in each direction possible. Begin. Done slowly. We're interested in form, in finesse, not in quickness at this point. When we move in and around behind the man, we move his weight on him. Again, the hip hoist action, reverse Nelson spot, spin, grip in. Again, the drill could be continued to have as many rolls, 2 or 3 or 4, within the full sequence as you would care to have, done by each individual. Our next escape drill is a near side roll drill, and before we actually start the drill sequence, we're going to have the boys do a near side roll. To execute the roll, the bottom man is going to hook the top man's arm above the elbow, and then he's going to go down to his shoulder, use it as a post, and do a good step over with his near leg. When he the outset of the drill. The drill has several parts. Now, the beginning of the drill is going to require a good attempt at a near side roll, but the man that's being rolled is going to roll with, is going to go with the momentum, and we're going to have to change off from our roll attempt to something else, as will be illustrated. Begin. Here's the beginning of the roll, here's the re-roll. The man that had gold is now reaching in for a switch. The other man is stretching his legs so that switch cannot be had. So we've got to go to our next move in the sequence, and that requires us getting our butt up in the air, leaning toward our partner's butt, which is key, and changing off to a hip hoist action so we get a whizzer in. Now begins a side drag, an attempt to go behind our partner, and just as we're about to complete the drag, he decides to re-drag. At that moment, we come back with a pancake. Anytime a drag is initiated from the knees, we're always looking for a pancake off. It will not always be there, but we are to look for it. As the drill continues, the bottom man will bridge and rotate. The top man with weight on will come around behind. And a roll will begin on the other side, on the part of the other man. He will begin a near side roll, over the shoulder, step across, get re-rolled, go for a switch. Leg will be stretched. He had to change off from switch to whizzer. And now he starts a side drag. Just as he's about to complete it, re-drag develops, so he pancakes. Now we bridge and rotate, go around the head, come all the way in on the other side of our partner. Break our arm underneath, and the drill begins again back to the other side. Attempt at the switch, leg is stretched, butt goes up in the air, and change off to a whizzer. Again, the side drag begins. Just as it's about to be completed, the partner attempts to re-switch, so we have to change off to the pancake. Bottom man bridges, rotate, weight on, raise an arm under, sequence begins again. This is the final segment of the drill. Attempt at the switch, butt in the air, change off to a whizzer, change off to a side drag, change off to a pancake when the time is right. All right, this next drill in the list of escape drills is what we call a Granby Gold drill, and it's a very dangerous drill. It should not be done by a twosome unless each individual is fully able to execute both parts of the drill. The man sitting out in front is going to do the Granby Gold, and the man behind is going to do what we call a cartwheel follow. The drill is done with the man in front Granbying to his left, then he will come back with the Granby to his right, and it can be done repeatedly back and forth as many times as is desired. We are just going to Granby once to the left and once to the right, and then what we would do in practice is we would have the boys switch positions so that each one would get to do the Granby and each would get to do the cartwheel follow. All right, on the Granby roll itself now, most of the push-off by Mac will come from his left foot, and he either has to have the ability to create the momentum that will enable him to execute this move fully, or he has to have the help of his partner, in the sense that his partner might be chopping him down in that direction and tilting him that way. The Granby is done from many different positions, so let's begin the drill. Granby, cartwheel follow. Now coming back the opposite direction, Granby, cartwheel follow. And we'll go back and cross with the Granby and the cartwheel one more time each way, as illustrated. Alright, now what they would do is they would switch positions so that the other fellow could actually do the Granby. Hasn't done it yet, and all that has not done the cartwheel, and then begin to do the cartwheel. This way, each young man gets an opportunity to execute both parts of the drill. This next drill drill is what we call wrist leg goal high hernia drill. And to begin the drill, Massachusetts, the bottom man, will do what we call switcher action to get his hips up off the mat high enough so he can execute the move. So get into a switcher position, switches his feet out, gets up. He's going to drop his elbow to the mat here and post his head. The elbow goes down first, then the head. He brings his foot over, high leg over action. Got his hand back by his hip to block his partner from coming around and hooking his leg. He walks his feet away, entice his partner to chase. Now he's going to do a good wrist leg roll, bring his partner into a pin grip position. This is what we call Brandy pin grip, this position that they're in right now. And that, the man that has the pin grip is going to release on the leg, bring his elbow to the mat, come up behind his partner, so that in turn his partner can do switcher action. He sits up off the mat, drops to his elbow. He begins that same sequence. Walks his feet around so he can get in position to work the wrist leg roll. And the drill can be repeated as many times as the coach would indicate is necessary in a given moment. They could finish up the drill at this point, or we could have that first man again execute that same action. Now we're going to have them repeat the drill, facing in the direction that they're facing in this moment, so that perhaps we can get a different angle on the sequence. All right, bottom man switches his feet, gets his hips up off the mat, hand off the mat. Elbow drops down to the mat first, then the head comes under. Good wrist grip, hand back by his hip, enticing his partner to chase. And now he goes into the wrist leg roll. He takes his arm from between legs, his elbow towards the mat, his arm is free, switches by his partner, elbow down, head down, go into the same sequence. Now the drill was done in such a manner so far that each man was doing it going to one side. What we would have is the top man, and began on top initially, move to the opposite side, and again begin from the top position. And now his partner is doing a wrist leg roll in the opposite direction. This way. I suppose we'll begin the elevator drill. Now the bottom man is going to begin a switch. He's going to get it fairly well completed. The top man chopping. He's going to change off to an elevator. Hip hoist action. Now he's going to do a side drag action to get behind. Stretch his leg. Bring his biceps toward the mat. Pressure on his opponent's arm. Now the switch by the partner is attempted. Here comes chop action. Elevator, hip hoist, and now side drag by that man, and he gets in behind. Now the drill can be repeated as many times as the coach would care to indicate and call for, but generally what's done is we do it once to each side or twice to each side, and then the top man, the man who's on top initially, begins again on top, but he begins on the opposite side. Boy will be doing lefty elevator and righty elevator each day that we do the drill. All right, begin the drill again. This time the bottom man is operating with an elevator. Hip hoist. Partner recovers base, so he has to use side drag action to get in behind him. Gets in behind. Partner goes for a switch, gets stopped. He changes off to an elevator. Side drag action is not easily done against resistance, and we demand that there be some resistance. So in competition with that, resistance will be there. The next of our sequence drills is what we call an inside elevator drill. And in the drill, the top man is going to loop his partner's arm so that the bottom man can sit inside and execute an inside elevator. Begin the elevator action, the inside sit, and comes the elevator. And now if the arm of his partner is between their bodies, he's going to do a drag action. That's the case here. He comes in behind, he loops his partner's arm, and that partner sits inside and does an elevator. again, a little smaller, and with not as much sit to it. All right, here comes the inside elevator. Here comes the drag action of go behind. And now the loop of the arm, partner position inside, goes to the back and elevate. Drag is impossible because of that arm being across body, and it changes off with power saw. We consider it a power saw when you grab the wrist and do claw action rather than just do claw action up and under them.
All right, on this videotape, we're going to have Andy Buckley, who is on my left, and Matt Sousis, who is on Andy's left, two of our wrestlers, demonstrate our escape drills, and a few of our other sets of drills will get demonstrated as well. We will start with our escape drills. The first of our escape drills is named the hip hoist drill, and as far as we're concerned, it's considered a drill most important because the hip hoist move is probably the most important move in wrestling, in that in the most crucial moments, the boy that has the ability to hip hoist and hip hoist sufficiently well will either gain control of his opponent or retain control. So we're going to start with that hip hoist drill, and we'll have Andy Buckley begin the demonstration, and we'll slow it down just so that you can see exactly how the drill goes. It's done from 3 different levels. Andy will be on his hands first, posted on his hands, and he's going to move but 1 foot as he does this drill. In the initial stage of it, he'll bring 1 foot under the other and face the mat, and then we'll come back to his initial position, his original position, and bring the other foot back under to go the opposite direction. Andy, you'll begin. All right, that's the first level at which we do the drill. The second level, Andy posts his elbows and does exactly the same movement in the drill. The third level from which we do the movement, Andy will be on his back as he is at this point, and he will use his shoulder and head as pivot points in order to execute the hip hoist. All right, so the drill is done from 3 levels, and we'll have him complete the drill by going into a kneeling position and doing high leg over. From a kneeling position, he does a high leg over action to one side, comes back, and does a high leg over action in the opposite direction and comes back. When that is finally done, the drill itself, the hip hoist drill, is completed in its entirety. Now, Andy will ask you again to do that very same drill, and this time you will do it from start to finish, just very slowly, with good form, and with no break in between. Okay, so if you will, start again. Slow. All right, now what we're going to do is show you a couple positions from which this drill can be utilized in live action. I will, with Andy, say there, Matt, no, I'm going to jump in on these things. I'll have the 2 do these drills, but I am going to, with Andy, execute a far roll on him, and to complete the roll, I will do hip hoist action. So Andy, you'll be on top of me. And I'm going to take what will amount to a firm wrist grip, and I'm going to execute a far roll by bringing my knee across. I'm going to drop down to my elbow, keep my other elbow in tight, try to slip my foot through, and elevate. And at this very juncture is where a hip hoist becomes a reality and a necessity. that action that I just performed was hip hoist action. If I fail to perform that hip hoist, I'll get myself in trouble or fail to actually gain control. I'm going to take the same movement, start into it, go down and elevate, start up into hip hoist position, but fail to hip hoist. The Andy will come back into me and bring me back to the bottom, simply because I didn't do the hip hoist action. So the hip hoist was crucial in terms of whether I would gain control of him, that is, get a reversal or remain the bottom man. Another moment when the hip hoist action can be helpful is off an elevator. I'm going to take Andy's arm like so, put instep against knee. I'm going to raise up a little bit, go down to my back, and begin the elevator. As I throw him off, his reaction will be to come back toward me. I'm going to have him come slowly. As he comes, I have to raise up and hip hoist. The action of bringing my foot through was a hip hoist action. So there are two little escape and reversal moves in which the hip hoist action is crucial to the completion of the move, to the gaining control of the opponent, or to the escaping from his control. So hip hoist is very important. All right, stop it out. All right, the second of our escape drills, or reversal drills, is what we call switch drill. Now actually we have two switch drills. The old standard switch drill, which I will demonstrate in a moment, and then a switch drill in which we work a counter move to switch and a counter to that counter to bring wrestling sequence into the scene. Now first of all, I'm going to demonstrate a switch itself. The first thing you'd want to do in order to switch a man is free your arm. Now sometimes he'll let go of your arm. If he takes his hand off your arm, bring it out from me here. If he takes his hand off your arm, then a switch is available to you. If he controls your arm and you're able to free it in some way, a switch can be available to you. One technique for freeing the arm is to bring the hand across, palm up. You just take your hand and bring it across, turning the palm up. Now once the arm is free, your next movement is to get the knee off the mat and start reaching for your handkerchief. I go back in here as if I'm going to get my handkerchief. The next movement, I slide my leg through and make sure it goes far enough through. I want to come through to this position. I don't want to be on this hip. I want to get through to this particular position. I try to keep my hips off the mat as much as possible, in the air a little bit. It's to be a rising switch. I take this hand and go in and get my partner's leg. My own leg goes in the air, knee bent, foot up in the air. The knee is bent in order to get a little bit of height here where his step over action might occur. I have to block a step over. That's primary. My foot is in the air for the same reason, to block that step over. He may be coming across me down near my foot area, and I want to have a foot up to block it. Now once I've taken into consideration a possible step over, my next big worry is a re-switch. And in order to block off the re-switch, what I want to do is hip out, hip out, hip out. And as I shift further away, it gets tougher for my partner to slide under me. Slide under that little bit. He would want to do that and come under me, but if I have moved far enough away, it's tough for him to do that. To finalize the move, I take this hand and go up into the crotch, just in case there's a late step over coming, and I put my head in the way, just in case there's a late step over coming. Once I'm sure that I'm in position to move up onto my partner, I do so. And that would constitute a reversal worth 2 points. But once again, in slow motion, The switch itself, I want to free my arm, hand across, palm up. I then post my one hand and begin to reach for my handkerchief. I then swing my hips through. Foot in the air, knee bent. Hand on his leg. I hip, 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 leaning back to put pressure on his shoulder and upper arm. Come in behind crotch. Move up into a controlled position to complete the switch. Now our switch drill requires that each man will switch lefty and righty as many times as a coach so desires, and then the man that was on top initially moves to the other side so that whoever was doing the switch righty will then be doing it lefty, and whoever was doing it lefty will then be doing it righty, so that everybody gets the switch both ways. Now Matt and I will demonstrate the switch, each of us doing it twice, and then Andy Buckley and Matt together will do a sequence of switches and do it from different angles so the drill can be seen from different angles. First of all, I begin. Start out into a switch. Try to keep good form. Move up onto my partner. Now he begins his switch. I begin another switch. He begins his final switch. From here, what would happen in the drill is Matt would move to the other side of me and we would begin again. And now I would be switching lefty and he would be switching righty. So what we'll do at this point is have Andy Buckley and Matt Sousis do switches, that is our switch drill, from different angles. Begin. Slow down, no rush. We look for good form, particularly at the beginning of a season, and then gradually as the season goes on, we're looking for better and better quickness. But initially, we want good form. Now these first two times they do the drill, Andy is on top, and he will be doing it from that left side of Matt the first two times. On the final two times they do the drill, Andy will move to the other side as he has just done, and Matt will be doing left-handed switches, whereas earlier he was doing right-handed switches. In the drill as it is being completed here, each boy has been doing two switches and then we've been rotating 90 degrees. Normally at a practice session we of course do not do the rotation aspect because we're not working for a camera. However, we do require that the boys do more than two switches each time they do the drill. The normal amount would be 4 switches lefty, 4 switches righty for each boy. All right, our second switch drill will require that I begin a switch and actually complete it. I'm going to begin the switch, actually complete my switch as I come up, and Andy will begin a switch on his side, and he will actually complete his switch. On my second switch attempt, I will get pretty well into it, but Andy will counter it with a re-switch action. I'm hipping out, but not far enough. As I start to come up, he begins re-switch. Just as soon as he gets me over, I counter the re-switch with step-over action and look for a pin grip. Always on a reversal or on a takedown, we promote going for the pin grip. One more time, we'll do the latter half of that drill. This will be my second switch in the drill. That is my second attempt at a switch. And Andy is going to re-switch me. He's going to go under me and bring me over him. And when I hit on the other side, I'm going to hit on my shoulder and head area, and I'm going to wing his arm and come back across him with a cartwheel type step over. So here goes my second switch. I start into it, I get it in, I fail to hit far enough out. He's in a position where he can lift me over him, and as I go over, I take this arm, release the pressure, go to my shoulder, step across, give a pin grip. All right, now we will have Andy and Matt, our two wrestlers, do that drill from 4 different angles so that the camera can take into consideration all the different little things that are occurring. Within the drill, what we get in is the switch itself. As you're seeing here, each boy is doing a switch. And then we are having it such that on the second switch, done poorly, the boy learns what can happen to him. And the boy that has done the re-switch learns what can happen to him. Now when they point in the second direction, I'll put a click on. Okay. All right. Now they're going to begin the drill again, and this time they've inverted. Andy was on bottom the first time. The second time through, he'll be on top. Begin. Each one will have done a switch, and now on the second switch, Andy is going to execute a re-switch, and Matt does a near side roll type step over move. As they point 90 degrees in another direction, as they rotate, again 90 degrees, Matt is back on top at the start, but he is on the opposite side of the side on which he started initially in the drill. He nearest the head up. He nearest the head up. Okay, keep it on. All right, what you have seen them do is what they would do in that second switch drill sequence. Get up and kneel. What they have done is each one has been on bottom with his partner on top on one side and then his partner on top on the other side. So that the drill has to be done 4 times. Each time that the drill is actually done, it must be done 4 times so that each boy gets to do each part of the drill from each side that it can be done from. All right, our next drill is a far side roll drill, and what we'll do first of all is execute a far side roll in the manner that we think proper. A far side roll can be done in different ways, but the most basic method is the method that we'll show here. I first want to get a good wrist grip. I don't want to get a hand grip. It's not a hand grip, it is a wrist grip that I want. No longer do we do far rolls where we hook the elbow as many years ago it was done. So it's not hand, it's not elbow, it's wrist. Now when we take that wrist, what we want to do is bind it across. We want to push it deep across our body. And as we're doing that, we pivot toward our partner so he'll have further to go if he cares to swing around to the other side. And what I'm going to do is take this knee and bring it across as far as I can in front of my other leg and sit back a little bit, dropping down toward my elbow. I take this arm and I don't leave it where I could be half Nelson. I don't want that unless I'm good at slipping half Nelsons. I want to get my elbow in tight to body to block off a half Nelson coming. Now I'm going to use my foot to elevate. And once I hit this point, I want to sit up to make my hip hoist easier. I hip hoist, I get my Nelson in. Now in the drill, what we do is we release that Nelson, and we allow our partner to bridge and rotate, and we keep weight on him as we go around him. As I come in behind, he takes my wrist, he executes the same move. So in the far side roll drill, each man is required to execute a very good far side roll, and it can be done, the roll itself can be done as many times as a coach desires to have the boys repeat the roll. Upon completion of one portion of the drill, upon completion of the sequence, the boy that is on top moves to the other side so that the bottom man gets to do the drill left-handed, so to speak, while the top man, when it's turned within the drill, would get to do it right-handed. And we're going to have the two boys come out, and they will begin. Nice and strong. What we're doing here, of course, is we're allowing these boys to do one roll apiece, and we're rotating them 90 degrees after each pair of rolls. And also, the individual that was on top initially stayed on top the second part of the sequence. He just moved to the other side. Now they've inverted. The top man is on bottom. And on the last portion of the sequence, that man that has become the top man will just move to the other side. So within the drill sequence, each boy was able to do a lefty far side roll and a righty far side roll. All right, our next drill is a wrist leg high turn-in drill. Wrist leg roll high turn-in drill, and we do it from what we call a swisher position. We begin the drill from a swisher position. So what we'll do here is demonstrate the beginning of the drill and the first stages of the drill, and then we'll let the boys take it from there. Perhaps what I'll do is complete the roll portion and get the Granby pin, and then go through the release out of the Granby pin, and then the boys themselves will demonstrate the full drill. The first thing I want to do from the bottom position here is I'm going to swish my feet. My feet go out to the side. This is what we call swisher action. We try to clear our feet. Now from here I'm going to push back and up and allow my partner to support me. I want to get into a half stand position. I take this hand, I don't leave it on the mat. I don't want to be tilted. I want my hand off the mat. And from here, what I'm going to do is drop my elbow down to the mat, bring my foot over, and swing my head under. My hand comes back to my leg, and I start to walk my feet. As my partner chases, I reach in and take his leg. As soon as I get that leg, I take this leg, swing it under, bring him over to his back. Now this is what we call Granby pin, and if I could sustain myself in this position, I would do so. I would get near fall points. If I feel that I'm unable to control him from here, I want to get my arm out of that leg grip so I don't get caught. So I release, drop elbow to mat, come in behind my partner, and then he would begin the sequence by swishing. So the drill initiates with swisher action. I take the feet, swish them, I make sure they get out clear. I want to push back into my partner and get up in the air and spread my feet for balance. I don't want to be leaning way back. I want my back vertical to the mat as much as I can get it. I have a good wrist grip. My hand is on that wrist and has his wrist securely. From here, I'm going to take this elbow, drop it down under. I try to swing my head as much under my butt as I can as I bring my leg over. Hand goes back to hip. Not out here, back toward my own hip. I try to entice him following me so I can get the roll. I bring my knee under, bring him over, and get at right angles to him. I don't want my feet here. I want them at right angles. I take this arm and bend it against the elbow joint as part of the pin grip. My other hand secures his leg. Try to get the wrist with the hand and go for the head and complete the grip for a pin. In the drill, though it's mentioned to the individuals that do the drill what the possibilities are from this position, and though they're covered in a separate drill, in the wrist leg roll, high turn-in drill, from here what I would do is just drop my elbow to the mat, come in behind my partner so that he can begin the drill. So we'll have the two boys point in each of 4 directions. They will do the drill whereby each one will do a wrist leg roll drill before they rotate 90 degrees. And the same man will remain on top the first 2 times they do the sequence, and then they'll invert. Begin. Not too quickly. Just steady pace. Don't try to just do it from wherever you end up. Wherever you end up. Elbow to the mat. Now as you come up, allow one of you, whoever was bottom man before, is bottom man again. Only face this way. Now you want to turn this direction. Try to get your back vertical to the mat before you start your roll change. You invert and face that basket over there. Right angles on your pin. All right, the next of our drills is what is called a near side roll drill. And we'll have to break the sequence up into some of its parts so that the drill is best understood, or as well understood as we can get it to be understood. All right, the first thing that we want to show is a near side roll. And a near side roll can be done against a half Nelson. If a man puts a half Nelson in, you can wing him and do a near side roll. It can also be done if a man's reaching across for your forearm. You can wing him and do a near side roll. When we do the drill, either the man's going for that arm or he just simply has his arm underneath our body. And what we do is hook his arm above the elbow, raise up a little bit, turn away a little bit, go down to our shoulder, and do a proper step over. Now this is the first movement in the drill, but when we do the drill, the other man would counter move. Right now he's going to allow me to complete the near side roll. I go down to my shoulder and step, and get knee nearest the head up, reverse Nelson in, and crotch. That would be the initial move in the drill sequence. Now what will happen this time, as we get to the second stage of the sequence, is my partner is not going to allow me to complete the roll. He's going to go with me. So I've hooked his arm, I start to raise up and turn away, I go down to my shoulder, and as I step, he goes with. Right at this point, I'd like to come in here and get a switch, but he stretches his leg as a well-trained wrestler would tend to do. Now what I want to do from here is not lean back and change to a whizzer, because he could right now grab my arm and put me on my back, and I'd be in bad trouble. And I don't even want to raise up and lean back, because the same thing could happen. I could fall off, he would go in and get forearm and put me on my back again. What I want to do from this position as he stretches, that's my signal to raise up, but I lean toward his rear end. And as I lean toward his rear end, there's a lot more his body there to support me than when I lean back toward his neck area. So I want to raise up, lean toward his rear end, and that makes the hip hoist action easier. The leg goes back, the whizzer comes in. Now once I get the whizzer in, I'm going to take this hand and use it for pry action. I place my hand on his leg. And as I put it there, I start to stretch this leg and at the same time press down with my bicep. My bicep is pressing down toward the mat. And as I press down, I force his hand off my leg. When that hand comes off, I begin a drag. As I start to go in behind him, he decides to re-drag. So I take this hand, bring it into a back hook grip, arm across chest, and put him on his back. This is what we call a quick pancake, and anytime we're on our knees dragging a man, anytime I'm dragging him to go behind, I always hope that he'll attempt to re-drag, because as it begins, I can release, catch, arm across, under his armpit, and pancake him to his back. In the drill, I would allow him to bridge and rotate, and as he rotates to his base, I go around. Once I get in here, I would drape my arm, and he would begin the sequence. All right, now we're going to have the two boys come out and actually demonstrate the drill in its entirety, facing just in the one direction to begin with, and then we'll take it from a slightly different angle and or a 90-degree rotation perhaps, as we did on the other drills. We'll have them do the drill 4 times. All right, fellas? Begin. Stretch. Bridge on the mat, no. Okay, yeah, bridge, put your head on the mat, one around. Slide back. you finish this sequence. Stop. Is that inside again? All right, now we've only pointed in each of two directions. They first faced in toward the camera, and then they rotated 90 degrees. The drill, in order for it to be done to completion, requires that each boy be on top twice to start with, once on the one side of his partner, the other time on the other side of his partner. Then they would invert, that is, the top man will become a bottom man, and the new top man then has to be on each side as the sequence is initiated. So the drill is much like the switch drill in that it requires the sequence to be done 4 separate times before the drill itself has been done to completion. Now we just had the boys do it twice. It would have had to be done 2 more times. But rather than complete that, hopefully enough has already been done and said that the drill itself is understood. Our next drill among our list of escape and reverse drills is a Granby roll drill. Now, Granby roll is a very dangerous move. It can be done from various levels and in various manners. The worst place to do it is from standing, in that the amount of danger there is greatest of all the positions you could do it from. So we never recommend it from standing, and in fact our people are instructed never to do it from standing. We will do it from a half-up position, from a swisher position. The most basic position to do it from, and the position we often do it from in the drill, particularly if we're beginners, is from a sitting position. The drill itself is our own, I do believe, but the Granby roll is certainly not our own. And when the move was first developed, it was executed from a sit-out position. So it is from a sit-out that I will show the move and try to illustrate some of the basic points involved in the Granby roll. So I'm going to be the bottom man, and from this position, I'm going to take myself and go into a short sit-out. I'm going to step up, not a big step, no good. I want to take a little tiny step and sit to the front. I'm not going to sit on both cheeks. I sit off to one side a little bit. Now in the Granby roll, the way it's best executed, I'd really care to have some altitude. You're not going to follow. What I'd really care to do is post my hand and get altitude. But in the drill, for the purpose of educating, for the purpose of teaching the move, what we'll do is this. I'm going to take this hand and not leave it as a post. I'm going to bring it under my knee. My other hand, I have a secure wrist grip, not a hand grip, a good wrist grip, not a forearm grip, a wrist grip. And what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to push off a little bit from this cocked leg position with my right foot, but most of the push off will come from this foot. It is the left foot that does most of the pushing when I'm heading to my left. Now I either have to have the ability to create the momentum, I have to have enough oomph to go, or the other man has to chop me to that side. Give me a little chop. He has to create the motion. One way or another, I want to be able to get over. Now to do the Granby correctly, I don't want to go out to the side, I really want to go under myself. I'd like to have my neck land where my rear end is. If it's done well, my neck will go underneath where my butt is. My own ability to execute this move is not sufficient and need not be, I don't think, right now for the purpose of demonstration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this hand, bring it under. I'm going to use this foot to push a little bit, use my other foot to push a little bit more, and try to get over in the Granby. Now my hope is that my partner has not followed me.
And if he doesn't follow me and he stays where he is, I would merely come up in behind him. If he happens to try to step around me as he comes, I take his leg and bring him into Granby pin position. And this will be the ideal. Now, the Granby roll is a very effective move. It has been worked by many wrestlers with great success. And the reason why it's so significant as a move is for the fact that it offers the man executing the move not just 2 points, but at least 4 points, sometimes 5 points. So it's an excellent move for those fellows that have that sort of flexibility to execute. In order to be good at the Granby and in order to reduce the danger of the Granby roll, it is important that you have good neck flexibility and good neck strength. And there's more emphasis on the flexibility aspect than on the strength aspect. What we would care to have our boys do is get into a tuck position to make sure that their necks are very loose. In order to execute the Granby roll well, you want to get up on your neck, and for a moment you would be in a very dangerous position. That tuck position is dangerous. But if you're good at executing the Granby roll, you would only be in that position for an instant, and then out of the danger, because you would have rolled past that danger point. So it is important to make sure that the neck is strong enough and definitely flexible enough and loosened well enough before the drill begins. The drill is dangerous and should never be done without some practice beforehand. And we have the boys do these moves, the Granby and the cartwheel follow separately before they do the moves together. And beginners are never allowed to do the drill until such time as each man can do each part of the drill. The first part, the Granby roll part, and the second part, the cartwheel follow part. Now what I'm going to do here right now is I'm going to have Andy Buckley execute a Granby, and as he goes into his Granby, I will do the cartwheel follow. And we'll see if we can't synchronize our movement together. We'll do it rather slowly, which increases the danger aspect, but hopefully he can do his part, and I can do my part sufficiently well. I'm sure of him, I'm not sure of myself. Sufficiently well that there'll be no danger to this man. All right, Andy's going to get into a sit position, and he's got my wrist. Now, when he's ready to go down into the Granby, he'll go down. Don't complete this time. Just go down toward your side. As he goes down, my forehead would post. That's the beginning for me. As he goes down, he's going to complete the Granby this time, and I'm going to do the cartwheel follow. And ideally, I should land on my knees upon having completed. So he goes down, he starts into it, and when I come back, I'm right behind him. Now, we could have him do the drill twice to the left, twice back to the right. Okay, we'll have him go one more time to the left, and then we're going to let the two boys come out and do the drill together because they're much better at executing both parts of the move than am I. All right, so Andy's headed down to his left. My forehead goes down. I post and come back on my knees. I keep it underhook in the drill. Normally, the man that is in the sit-out would not care to have me with my arm in there. He'd care to have his arm in tight. In the drill, we allow the man behind to have his arm in underhook position. We don't want to post it. We want his forehead posted, not his hand, so that he relies on his own balance and on his ability to do a little bit of a cartwheel action rather than on balancing himself on his hand and his head. All right, fellas, if you'll come out here, and if we can have you do a Granby roll headed to your left.
Anytime.
Okay, the boys are going to take the Granby roll and do it to the left, come back to the right, go to the left, come back, and one more time, a third time to the left and back. Fellas, begin. All right? Cut.
All right, the next of our drills is an elevator drill. Now we have two elevator drills. The first one will be our standard elevator drill, the one that's most frequently useful to us, and the second one, an inside elevator drill, which is really an old drill which has a very rare application these days because of the style of wrestling having changed. Now what I want to do on this drill is I'm going to initiate a switch, and I get into a poor switch position. I really want to be here, but I did a poor job for whatever reason. I didn't get to the correct hip on my switch movement. And the top man, seeing my arm, is going to chop my arm. And as he chops, I'm going to forget about the switch, come back in and get his arm above the elbow, and I'm going to go with the chop action. As I fall down, I'm going to initiate an elevator. So as he chops me, I go with him, I get my instep in, and elevate. From here, I plant hand and hip hoist. Now in the drill, what I would do is do drag bypass. Pry drag, that is. And I come in behind my partner. And what he would do is he would initiate a poor switch. I would chop him. When he feels the chop action, he will go with the chop action, and he will elevate me. As soon as he gets to the front in the whizzer position, what he will do is execute a pry drag and get in behind me. After each of us has done it once, what we do is begin the sequence again. However, on the second one, my partner would be on the other side of me. And then we would each do it once from that position. I will again demonstrate the elevator portion of the drill. My partner here is riding me. I've started into a switch, but haven't got my hips through far enough. My hips didn't get through far enough. He starts to chop. I take this hand, come in and get his arm, go with the chop action, take this foot, slip it inside his knee, and elevate it, going to my back. I sit up, hip hoist. This hand goes in and does pry drag action, stretch the leg, little drag, and I go in behind him, and then he would begin his portion of the drill. All right, now we'll have the two fellows point toward the camera and rotate 90 degrees.
Start back further. Start
in
back.
each direction. Slide back. Sit up to the point. Facing more pry drag. Facing. All right, this next drill, another elevator drill, is what we call an inside elevator drill. Now the top man, in order for me to effect this movement, has to loop my arm. He's going to have his hand looped around my arm. And what I do is I sit inside. I bring my knee across. My knee comes underneath, and I just plop down. And as I plop down, I slide this foot through to catch his knee, and then elevate. Now, if his arm is between our bodies, if it's in between bodies here, I would sit up and drag it. Okay? If his arm were across my body, I couldn't sit up to drag it. It just wouldn't be effective. So what I do is I take his wrist and do crawl action. This is what we call power crawl. This is a crawl, and this is a power crawl. And I would bridge and rotate to my base, up to your knees, and then move in behind my partner. So in order to work the drill, the top man has to loop my arm. I have to then sit inside, bring my knee through, and underhook his arm, and just plop, and slip a foot through and elevate. Go to my back and elevate. Once he's off, if his arm's between bodies, I would sit up and drag. If his arm is across my body, as it may be, I grab wrist, take the underhook, bridge, and rotate the base, and then go in behind my partner. Okay? Fellas, if you will come out together and do the drill, again pointing in each of 4 directions.
Wherever the arm happens to be, complete the move. You don't have to put it in both positions each time. Loop it up. Stop just for a split second before you start. Now begin, just so they can see that you've rotated 90 degrees. Begin. Sit inside. Loop. Loop. Stop this for a split second, right there.